Chapter 6. In the morgue, Gwen stood as far away as she could from the flashing blades and the metal bowls, which had bits of human body placed into them at intervals. John spoke into the mic above his head, and his assistant took photographs as needed. At long last it was over, and as the doctor stripped off his gloves and gown, she went to his office for a cup of tea and an unofficial debrief, as was their routine now. Gwen made the brews, and the doctor's drink was waiting for him by the time he entered the room. He sat down and took a long swig of his tea, then closed his eyes. Bloody hell, I needed that. First findings? She asked, trying not to sound too pushy. John didn't say anything for a minute, and then he appeared to be thinking. She wasn't killed there. But the mess under her body. She was disemboweled there, but not killed. What you saw was fluid from her gut, but she actually died from asphyxia. A plastic bag was held over her head. There were tiny particles of plastic under her nail beds and small red marks on her neck where the bag had been twisted tight. Same killer? Nothing to point to that. But I agree with you that the chances of two sadistic killers being in this area at the same time is improbable. Why, thank you for that. Gwen inclined her head and smiled. Good-humoured camaraderie was what kept these two colleagues from going mad at times. You're welcome. Time of death? About 2 days ago. You said there was a dog walker who went into the park at midnight. Gwen nodded as she sipped her tea. He lives nearby, so we got him on the door-to-door. So, she was killed and kept somewhere, but cut open after being hung up. I also think you're looking for a physically fit man. It must have taken some strength to pull that girl into that position. And as for your man in the bin as well, heaving him into one of those big commercial things wouldn't have been easy. Or might there have been two of them? It's possible. Any sexual aspects? John picked up his cup and finished its contents in one go. She hadn't been raped, but a psychologist might say that the very fact that she was eviscerated could be seen as a sexual act. Talking of which... You haven't. Not yet, but I think we could do with his input. John Barron shook his head slowly. Gwen knew there was no love lost between the two men for various reasons. Well, hold off for a little while, because I haven't told you the good news yet. There's good news, which is... Along with traces of plastic under her nails, there was something else we've sent for analysis. It might be nothing, but it could be skin from your killer. DNA? Oh, just maybe. At least now Gwen had something to share with the team at the briefing, which was a late one today. Right, she called to get their attention. You all have copies of the latest PM on the female body. We might get a break here if there is DNA under the victim's nails and we can get a match. Even if we can't do that, we might have some leverage to allow us to take DNA from any suspects. If we ever get any, that is. What have we got on our new lead, Martin Grimes? Nothing yet, boss. Been busy. I'll get onto it first thing in the morning, said Cassie. We can exclude one of our missing men, though, said Jake. Paul James returned to his home in Frodsham at lunchtime today. Right. Gwen put a tick against the man's photo. And just where had he been, do we know? Local uniform went to talk to them and just about managed to stop another murder. Paul wasn't beating up his partner again, was he? Becky looked at Richard as she said this. Not this time. Paul was the one that needed protection. Jake grinned. The officers found him being beaten about the head with a very large dildo. Apparently Paul admitted he'd been having an affair for some time, but he wanted to see if it was going to work out before he burnt his bridges. The complete bastard! said Becky. Then she started laughing. At least now he's got what he deserved, the dickhead. All right, you lot, joke over, said Wen. No one in the immediate area has reported a young woman missing, so Jake. Yep, female missing persons. I'll get onto it straight away, boss. The doctor thinks she was about mid to late 20s. No sign of drug misuse, well nourished, blonde hair. We're checking dental records, but there'd been very little dental work done, and the fingerprints aren't on file, so once again we're going to have to fill in all the gaps. The team started to float away, leaving Wen and Jake alone in the office. Jake was trawling files for likely missing women to fit their profile, and Wen was going through the post-mortem reports again. The only thing the victims had in common, apart from their very brutal murders, was that they had all drunk coffee some time before they died. But as clues went, that wasn't even worth worrying about.